No, I didn't get any response from the Northern American people there. Welcome.
We'll let you have that one today, bro.
Yeah, you will. As you can see, we
got other things going on.
Yeah, we have a full Zoom room today / tonight. We want to welcome our very prestigious guests from the Green Room and also the Green Room podcast, Mr. Sean Typhon from the beautiful state of Massachusetts, right?
Beautiful. What?
Yeah.
We're beautiful? No.
You are.
No.
We also have from Canada, the land of Canada, we have Mr. Overdrip. Welcome, sir. We also have from California, Frames Janklin, Frames motherfucking Franklin.
What up, dudes?
And we also have from the great state from the great state of Idaho, Mr. Ashton Palmer of Palmer's Powders.
What's up, guys?
The ass-kicking mod creator, corruptor, painter / BMXer. We also have here Mr. Steve Legion Vapes. What's up? And we also have Chris Vandal, whose internet just went totally burko in the great state of Las Vegas, Nevada. Welcome, my friend. Happy 420 to you.
Cheers, brother.
Cheers.
Everybody who's out there.
I filled this up last night for today, and this is what I've got left.
Whoa.
Sounds like a good day.
Get busy. That should have been gone already. Should have been gone already.
You're not double fisting those?
No, I'm sweaty.
Sweaty.
Nice.
Yeah, so we had everything set up good, and then my internet decides to crash and all that shit, guys. So I had the intro scene set up. Sorry about that. We also had some graphics and shit. I was going to debut tonight, so you know, next week. Well, not even next week, because I'm going to be here next week. Then I'll go fuck myself. But no. Anyway, it's been a good day. And then, like Adam said, we got the awesome guys from the Green Room here, Mr. Palmer's Powders. And I just want to say this because I'll probably never get to communicate with you very often because, you know, you're doing all the big vape stuff. But I want to say you've reminded me of back when, like, Need for Speed Underground came out. You do the bitchin' models on the cars with the paints and shit. Like, dude, that's what you're doing for vape mods. And, like, seriously, dude, keep killing it, man.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. It's an honor to be here.
I've actually never heard that before. Is that for reals? Is that where you're getting your inspiration from?
Oh, no, I just said it reminded me of
it. I mean, I did play a lot of that game.
Dude, great game, dude.
But it is true, like, these powder coating jobs that Ashton does, they have that kind of level of quality. I mean, by now, anybody who follows me on Instagram, they've seen pictures of the unicorn that I sent him. That thing is ridiculous. And, I mean, one of the things that people don't even fully grasp about it when I show photos of it is that thing glows in the goddamn dark. So, okay, not only is it this crazy white, just madness going on that mod, but the motherfucker glows in the dark. Step to that level.
Yeah. I like it so much. I just showed you guys 4 of our Palmer's Powders coated mods that I've got. Like, dude does legit fucking work. And
the colors are so on point. That small.
Like, look at these candy colors. Like, look at Sean. Sean needs to show you guys his because his has got some crazy fucking like.
See, mine's in the other room, but I can pull this up.
Dude, oh yeah, that green dough.
Flawless.
Yeah, nice.
Kills it.
But yeah, Adam got something recently too, didn't you?
No, I got a little while ago. Yeah, my unicorn with the limited edition slate special grey. Of course, I went pretty plain when I said to Ashton. He was in the middle of doing like all of the crazy mods for everyone. I was like, "Have you got something really vanilla?"
I gotta say though, you did call it the wrong thing now.
What's that?
Call it the unicorn, isn't it? The Slate is something.
This one's the Vertus Dangacorn at the moment. Vertus Dangacorn.
Vertus Dangacorn. Gotcha.
Yeah, I like that name. I like that.
Vertus
Really
Dangacorn. Yeah.
I can dig it.
Yeah. Mr. Legion, what in your collection would you send Ashton if you had something to send him right now?
What did you ask?
Yeah, I was asking you. What would
Me?
you? What
Oh, gee. Brain fart there. You know what? I've been watching all these videos, and you guys are pulling up these beautiful Macs. Some of them, the Vert, I never got my hands on, but Dreamers, and just these beautiful Macs with these absolute finishes. And my mind immediately goes the other direction. I want to send him crap. I want to send him crap and make it beautiful. I want to send him. I'll show you.
That wasn't the answer I was expecting at all. Just saying.
No. See this. This is
I could do one of those like that.
Your basic Pico, right? But
I did a Pico baby once.
Yeah, I just every time I see your work, I'm like, I just want to take boring, vanilla, plasticky things and make them beautiful, and that's kind of where my mind goes. It's like everyone else has got these high-end mods that are just blinged out like crazy. I want to take like a Toyota and drop the wheels down and put rims on it, that kind of thing. That's kind of where I go with that.
I just want to address really quickly while everyone's talking. Because of the potatoes, it's I'm struggling to get into the chat. We want to thank everyone for coming into the chat, but I can't reply because I don't want to interrupt the potatoes that are currently aligning in the intergoogles at the moment. So please don't think we're ignoring you. I just there's Vandal. Awesome, thank you, Mr. Vandal. I can't log into the chat because I'm fucking useless, and so we thank you for coming into the show. And
folks, it's that Aussie internet. If he does one more application, that kangaroo is gonna have a heart attack, and then he's gonna run on wombats, and we're fucked.
That's it. Yep.
You know what? You think you're joking? You think you're joking, but you are 100% spot on. 100%.
I know. Adam and yourself aren't the first Aussies I've had the pleasure of conversing with. I've seen it's. You guys got
go
some.
ahead and knock on wood now.
Yeah, you guys got some like wildly tough internet, but apparently you got some wildly.
I'm
awesome
sitting here
food,
watching
so.
you guys on Zoom, and the reason my brain went before is because I was sitting watching this. And every now and then, you guys are getting really stuttery and really fast. And it's just really, really disconcerting to try and listen to 5-6 people all doing that at different speeds.
So, I actually thought that it was just happening to you right there.
So let me ask you a question then. How difficult is it to work with Chris Vandal? Because that man speaks like rapid fire speed.
You just ignore every 12 sentences. Just ignore most of it and just pick up one and go with that.
It's because me and Swaggins are secretly related. I'm trying to get the child support right now. I'm trying to upgrade.
He's the Southwestern Swags. That's pretty scary. We can all aspire to greatness. He chose to aspire to swagness.
See, that's the thing too. Is like I know that he can grow a beard better than me. I'm doing this quarantine beard, right? Like I have nothing else to do doing this time. And so I'm growing this out, and man, I was like, all right, Swags, we'll have like a face-off, and I was like gonna propose it to him, and I'm growing it, and like, bro, I don't even have any hair in like 5 spots on this side, so like, I'm pretty sure I'm mildly autistic on my right side of my brain because this side isn't growing anything at all, but this side over here is like it'll grow like out to here, and this side's still right here. I haven't touched this like 2 months. This is like 2 days.
You should do the
full. Bet you sleep on that side, don't you?
Oh, I sleep on both sides. I'm kind of like special, and I sleep on my head, and I push myself around like that.
That's probably why one side's not growing right, because you're like just sloughing it off.
Dude,
you're aggressive on that side.
You just got to do that beard comb over. You grow the one side really long, and then you swoop it around and kind of fill in the spots. A little bit of final net there to hold it in.
Yeah.
A little hair net while you're sleeping.
Person, but unfortunately, with how my lighting set us up and it reflects off the wall, you see through it. So I look like the Office, like the fucking Michael Scott from the first season when he did his own hair, like it's all brushed over. It's all.
I mean,
I know your pain,
pictures
bro.
of you on the internet. You could always just shave your pubes and then glue them to your face. You'll be all set.
There's a lot of videos like that.
There's a missing spot down there too on the opposite sides. I'm telling you, it's a chromosome thing. No, but I'm just joking. Anyway,
it's a chromosome thing. God damn.
Man.
But let's go and start out with the buffet while we're at it. Adam, why don't we start with you? Pass it on.
Sure. I don't have anything new at the moment. These have basically been the setups for the last month or more. Blotto, the Legion Vapes Edition Aegis X thing, DHD Special 1 of 1. Yep, Blotto. In that, I have Red versus Blue, very famous Australian. Oh, excuse me. Hey! Jelly donut, raspberry donut action from Vaporize. Don't smoke, kids. It's bad for you. I also have the El Thunder 21700 mech with the RDA for vaping on the top, which I have some Yummy Vapor Taruto. I think that's how you say it, which is kind of a butterscotch action. Then I've got the Vladis Slady Dangercorn. I think that's what I said before, with a little DHD Nub Tip. That's got the dang on there. That's little cookies and custard. Little Vegas action there. Cookies and custard. Deliciousness. But I also have my little MTL banger, the Vaporesso Swag Deuce, because I'm got all that swag, obviously. Glaz Mini MTL in there with a little... I joined the the MTL Alien train. Built some yesterday. Little secret spec that I'm kind of working on, but it's banging, really, really good. And that has some Vinnyland Dragon Shake in that.
Good choice.
Yeah, and it's crackletastic. But I'm gonna pass that off to Mr. Legion Vapes.
Hey, so today, a couple of different things. This I just reviewed. This is the Smoant Night 80. Well, let me try to focus that there. Yeah, it's a decent little all-in-one little setup. Got massive big tank on there. Works okay. You know, it's not my my favorite kind of device, but for some reason it hasn't been leaving my hands. I've killed pretty much all of this bottle of custard in there, so that's been that.
It's aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, it's okay. You know, it's a nice working device. Not the biggest, hottest, cloudiest vape in the world, but there's something I just want to carry and use a lot. If I want bigger and cloudier, I went for a really, really classic setup. I got my Hexome, and I've been using the Goat on here for the last week or so, a couple of weeks actually. But I just pulled out the Recoil, and I'm really, really loving this. Anarchist Pink Lemonade. It's a fully classic setup, and it just kicks like crazy.
Nice. I always wanted a Hexome. I just think they're awesome.
That is as cloudy as I want it. That is perfect. Of course, my Cylon setup, the Odin Silver with the Axial Silver, running. Just started this actually. I killed off a bottle of Frank and Atticus. Baked apple custard last week? Just went through the whole bottle. Really nice stuff. This is a caramel glazed donut, so I'm really enjoying this too.
Nice.
Needs more power.
More power.
More power. 128 watts.
More power.
Oh, that is. Damn. Literally, like I juiced this up this morning, and
That
that's the
looks
second
glorious.
vape I took from it. That is killer.
Imagine
Simple.
you're vaping that out of a dang.
Oh, I don't have a dang. Send me one.
What's a cup of coffee?
And the only other thing I've got is, I hesitate to show you, this is the Laden from Smoant, still up for review, the Laden Tank, Laden mod. It is not my favorite color.
I like that though. It looks like a turtle shell.
I am not a fan of that rainbow slick, that rainbow oil slick look. I've seen a few of these and they look okay in the black and all that, but
It looks
Yeah,
really
not a big-
small.
tank
Like,
is
yeah, it looks
huge.
quite small. No, the tank is big. The mod. No, sorry, the mod
It's
looks
pretty small, dual 18650. So, yeah, it's fairly small, fairly comfortable in the hand, really lightweight to use. Tank is a bit top heavy, and I'm running Vapor Treats Cinefun from this.
And do you have the coil option in there? Because I heard it comes with an RBA section.
It does come with an RBA section, which if you watched last week, I was trying to set it up while we were filming. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it. It's a combination mesh, so it's got those two clamps with a springy bit, kind of like a profile, but the clamps also have two holes in it each side for coils, so it's supposed to do just about everything. When you try to do everything all in one, you usually end up doing everything shit. I put in a beautiful breeze tones and hit the fire to fire it up, and promptly melted the spring-loaded bit underneath for the mesh, which I then spent a good amount of time scraping off all the melty bits, and then tried to rebuild it with mesh, which just leaked everywhere 3 times. So I went back to regular coils, and the holes are in the wrong spot for everything. They sit. It was just a shit, literally shit. Using the Freemax compatible coils that come with it, it's working just fine. Using that pre-built, or not pre-built, that rebuildable thing, no, I don't like it. It's not going to get a good review on that side. Try to do everything all at once. You half-ass everything. As a tank, pre-built coils works great. Don't bother with the rebuildable. That's pretty much it. That's what I got this week. There's other things lying around here, but they're not relevant. I wonder who I'll pass off to next. Sean, what are you vaping?
All right, hey everybody, let's go with this guy first. Got the Vaporesso Gen, got a Blotto on top, just looking super mean. The DHD Chop Top in turquoise, because Chop Tops are life over here at the Green Room and Shed Time Podcast. Inside of that, Ruthless from my friends over at the Wicked Angel Vapor Company. As you can kind of see right there, it's a citrus and strawberry parfait, and it's super goddamn good. It's also super steeped, which helps a lot. Up next, got the Keen and the Odium from Unicorn Vapes. Got a nice platinum balls chop top sitting on that. Got Breeze Tones coils in this one. Had to break this deck out tonight because it's got the Breeze Tone coils in it. And outside of that, I got some Pete from our boys at Clockwork Vapor, Steel Valley Vapors, some friends of ours from the Green Room, and so I had to go ahead and rock that. And then I've also got this guy right here. I've got the Unicorn MDX 3-in-1 Just Right edition. I got an OG Goon with a unicorn cap on it, because the 24 millimeter OG unicorn cap actually fits the OG Goon deck. And I wanted to do that because I got some AJ Holland 4 cores in this, and I'm loving the way that vapes. Got that Blood Money Chop Top from DHD, because again, chop tops are life. And boom, Confetti Wop from the man, the myth, the legend, Nick Drips. This stuff, I've been rocking it for quite a few days now, enjoying it. It's got like this crunch berry flavor, and I'm not a big cereal guy, so for me to enjoy a cereal is pretty impressive, and I'm enjoying the hell out of this one. That's it for me. Let's throw it to Uncle Chris.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Thanks for having us on. I already knew that we were going to have a good time, and what better day than 420? Like, honestly.
Perfectly.
All right, I'll just dive right in. The first setup I got is the League of Scoundrels Connoisseur. I always get mixed up and say Conserver because that's the way that it looks like it would be spelt on the mod, but apparently it's called the Connoisseur. With the Dang, I really wanted to try the Dang because Ashton was like, bro, you need a Dang. And I found one for pretty cheap, but it's rainbow. But I actually kind of like it on this mod. Like, for some reason, there's just enough gold in it. Like, I mean, would I rather it be gold? Yeah, I definitely would. But it's pretty good. On top, I got a color changing chop top. This one is the Sugar Plum. Inside this, I actually have some Steve's Brown coils.
Shit.
Hashtag Steve's Browns.
And inside there, actually from Rescued E-Liquid, this one's Vulcan, and it's the strawberry kiwi. I really like it. The strawberry in it's like a really nice strawberry. And the kiwi's good too. Overall, it's just good. Next, as we were talking about before, Palmer's powders. So this is my Times Wave Saint.
Oh, that felt good.
I need to go get a towel.
With a layer cake on top. because Layer Cake is one of my favorite RDAs ever. And inside of that,
You gotta warn me before you show me that, Chris.
I got some bottled violence. So this is
Yeah.
something you can pick up at Still Valley Vapors. Much like the next liquid that I got. I'll just start with the next liquid. Got that Georgie
Yeah.
from Clockwork Vapor. This liquid is such a good hot fudge. I can't get enough of it, honestly, just for that. But then there's more, and that's the greatest part about it. And I'm running that on my Unicorn 3-in-1 MDX big logo. Got the Goon 24 on top, and I got another chop top, and this one is the green color changing. And inside that, I actually have some semi nitro coils.
Oh,
Ooh. Sammy Nitrous.
Yeah.
Samuel Nitrous.
And I'm gonna pass it off to Ashton.
What's up, guys? First and foremost, thanks for having me. And it's even better. It's on 420. What more can I ask for? So, first I'll toss up. It's the Unicorn Vert and RDA for vaping. We call it the Burgundy Corn for vaping, or the Burgundy Corn Vert for vaping. That's what we should call it. Inside, I got some breeze tones, as always. That's just what I'm gonna rock until this guy croaks over and dies and can't make me coils anymore. Inside that, I got some Clockwork Vapors Georgie, because fuck, this shit's good.
how much of that have you vaped in recently? Have you smashed that bottle yet?
It's almost gone. And then second, I got the Race Car. It's the Dang and the Dreamer. Inside, I also got some more breeze tones with some of that Nick Drips Bloodbath. It's a strawberry red vines. It's great. I've vaped it for like 5 years and I can't stop. And that's all I got, but I'll toss it off to James.
All right, I got a couple of things set up here. Since it's 420, it only makes sense that I'd be rocking Shed Time, my Aspen Modco Monarch. This is actually the first one released with the black top. I was super stoked to get my hands on this. Shout outs to my Omies, because they're the ones that got me this bad boy. Of course, got that FU Turk V2 on top. This is one of my favorite atomizers, and honestly, I haven't taken it off of Shed Time since I put it on there, just because it just makes sense, just makes sense. Like,
Fuck you at Shed Time.
Shed Time, exactly. See, Sean even knew it before I said exactly. I got a Gator Bore drip tip on top of that. Shout outs to Will from Still Valley Vapors, because he was so kind enough to get this one spun up right there at the shop and sent it my way when he had Gator Bore there. And since Will sent me the drip tip, it only felt right to be rocking one of those liquids. Got some Bottled Violence Toffee Custard. This is the newest addition to the Bottled Violence lineup, and this stuff right here is fucking banging. Like, with a cup of coffee in the morning, this like toffee custard is just delicious.
It's bananimals.
It's a nice blend of toffee and custard. It's not like one way over the other. It's like a perfect blend. Really dig it. Of course, the whole Bottled Violence line is super solid. Next one I've got is this bad boy right here that was custom coated by my man Ashton of Palmas Powders. I actually won this in a waffle over there in his Facebook group, which is pretty awesome. It's got that little bit of that slate gray in those engravings with that candy red, just like shimmering so beautifully. Asgard Mini on top of that with some hashtag Steez Brown Coils from my man Steezy Browneezy, aka Breeze Tones. Got that Blood Money Chop Top on top of that, just to pull the setup all together. And this one's got shout outs to my man Eric Vinyl and Vapor. Some of that deep cuts Dragon Shake up in this piece.
Oh, snap.
And it's just absolutely banging. I really love the 12 milligram in a mouth to lung. Just on point, but of course that 3 milligrams just as good inside of that setup there. Next one I've got is this guy right here. Got the Hyperion from Infinite Mods, but it's that Turk edition gift from my man Ashton of Palmas Powders. Much love for Ashton. Can I just say I love my man Ashton? Not only does he make killer coatings, but he's just a super cool dude. Got the Audiate for Vapin on top of that, with a moss chop top to blend in with that green and black resin sleeve that I got on that. Inside of this has some shout outs to For British Eyes Only, one of our sponsors over there at the Green Room. Got some of his tricore aliens inside of this bad boy with some Tango Melon from Transista, one of Vapor Swaggins' all-time favorite liquids. It's like literally all he vapes, and I know why. It's banging. It's delicious. I was super stoked when I found half a bottle of this the other day down over there in my box of juice that's just got all kinds of different stuff in there. I didn't even know what's in there half the time. Like I said, I didn't even know I had that until I went in there and looked. And the last setup I set this up earlier for the Omis. I got the Cosmonauts on top of my Get Low. Shout outs to Kuwaiti Vapor Aziz. He's the one who sent me this mod. And I got to say, this thing absolutely rips for a single 18650. This thing just rails. It's got a, this is the Blood Moon chop top from the Winter collection. It's almost like the Copper Rose, but it's more of a red tint to it. And I think it just matches well with like the kind of patinaed button that I got going on there. You know what I mean? All black with a little bit of some copper accents. Inside of this, I've got some new liquid that I got a hold of today. Shout out to Kelly Kell. This is some strawberry unicorn dew, which is actually a strawberry Mountain Dew flavor, and hit it out of the park. I mean, like I literally took like a couple vapes on this. I was like, damn, that's legit. Grabbed my Mountain Dew because I'm a Mountain Dew guy, of course. You know, I had to take a drink, took a vape, and then all I tasted was strawberry. And I came to the conclusion that the Mountain Dew flavor in this liquid's so good that I couldn't tell the difference between the aftertaste of the drink I just took and the vape.
Interesting.
You know what I mean? So I took a couple more vapes after that, took a drink of the Mountain Dew. I was like, damn, this is fucking spot on. Like, this is legit strawberry Mountain Dew. Like, straight up. And I've been vaping it. This is honestly, I probably should have just shown this because this is all I'm going to be vaping on the whole show. But I figured I'd show some cool, shiny stuff off too. And that's it for me. So I'm going to throw over to Vandal.
Oh, man. So, as always, I only got one setup. Outside with the goat. But I'm a big proponent of fruit flavors, lemonades, and shit like that. I usually, like, that's all I fuck with. Like, I tried desserts before, I was a big fan. And then ever since I had this free time, I have like 1 million fucking bottles of juice from either work or just people giving me stuff. So I got into some desserts, and oh my fucking god, I'm like, I used to work for Anarchist shit, so I'm not trying to show for him, but oh my fucking god, this stuff is so good. It's a vanilla cupcake with fruity pebbles, and it's got like enough of the fruity cupcake, the cupcake, so it's not like too like cakey, but the fruity pebbles in there, like no lie, I wish I could inject that into my eyeball. But other than that,
does it make more sense into your tongue or something?
Nah, man, it's like because it's like a crackhead joke. So like what a crackhead.
It's like a crackhead.
It's in Canada, you guys don't have crackheads. You know, when we go for reps in the U.S. and you live in a lower economic. Anyways, we'll talk later. And then my other buffet, since it is the day of, I'm not too crazy with it, but I got like 8 jars of different stuff.
Oh.
I went through this whole pack almost of 32 in the last like 48 hours.
Nice. Okay, was it just me, or did anybody else like maybe take one too many trips to the shed? Because I could have sworn Legion was upside down for a second.
No.
He was upside.
Ah! You know, actually, you know what the problem is?
Blood's gonna rush to your head.
Here's what the problem is I haven't had enough trips to the shed. That's the problem.
Exactly.
I need to get on that after the show.
I actually worked today, so I didn't have enough shed time.
Yeah, me too. The bum toe too. What's up with that?
Yeah, man.
I mean, don't go starting things that you can't finish because I mean we already know
no, Sean's gonna
our Discord games, and I definitely tend to put this one on lock because I can do some real shit like this,
Yeah,
and then I can do this.
and make it move.
Oh.
Shit,
Nice. Wow. Outstanding.
This is what happens when you have the green room on the show.
If anybody is
Good
currently
Lord.
under the influence of shed time, you are welcome.
Yeah, you heathen.
Legion looks beautiful like that, by the way.
He actually kind of looks like Harry Potter's uncle.
He looks like Hagrid in the PlayStation video game.
I was thinking Minecraft, actually, but
Minecraft's not round though.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Nice.
Toy soldiers right there.
Yeah, that's more one of these.
Looks like he's pressed between two boobies.
I was just gonna say that.
He's
Now
living
just gotta
his
go
best
blah,
life.
So I've got a question for the green room action for the fellas there. Obviously, the green room on YouTube is its own beast, but the green room podcast has been kicking off, and I have a question about that. When you guys are producing the content for the podcast now, you're a few shows in, and well, lots of shows in, really. Is it as easy as you'd pictured it in your minds when you first started?
Easier. I mean, as dumb as that is to say, but just to clarify, I have a background in music production. I was a recording artist, a signed recording artist for an independent label. I was a booking artist. I learned audio engineering, all of that. So I had a lot of skills that played well into producing the podcast. So realistically, it was one of those things that when I set out to start producing it, I wanted to produce something that wasn't just we start talking, we end talking, podcast over. I wanted to create something that had a little bit more of the morning radio show vibe that you get. When you got the guys talking and they're playing a clip and they pause for their ads and stuff like that. And so I thought, you know what, we can do this. This is pretty easy, and as long as we get these pieces, I can put them together, and it just becomes kind of like a puzzle. And the beauty of that is that once you're at this point now, I mean, we're 12 episodes in as of this past Sunday, yesterday. It's almost like there's a formula, and it's funny because I mean, I'm going to break the wall here for a second, but when we record, we have these ad spots that we do. And I literally warn everybody ahead of time, this is the point we're going to take that break. We take that break, and I actually use some old-fashioned techniques from filmmaking in order to make a marker in the audio clip for myself to refer back to. And this way, when I go to edit, I find the marker, I make the cut, I move things around, I drop our ads in. I'm half done right there.
Like when you're looking at the audio clip, do you mean that's where you see your marker?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, nice.
Yep. There's basically, it's not really a secret. Even in today in film, when you see the old little marker cue that they use and they slam the thing down, the purpose of that is to create a large spike in the audio. So that way they can line the audio and the video up and everything goes smoothly during editing. I just use that technique in the podcast. So we'll go ahead. We'll take that moment. Everyone will get quiet. I'll snap or I'll clap. That'll make a big spike in my audio where I can immediately identify where it is. And now I can cut that, drop things in, and I'm halfway there. And the beauty of that is it affords us the ability for an extremely fast turnaround. We record the show on Sunday afternoon, and by Sunday evening, it's live for you to listen to.
Yeah.
So it's about an hour turnaround, and I have it live on iTunes and Spotify and SoundCloud and all of those other major platforms. And so it's become just a well-oiled machine at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Awesome.
love the fact that you took your past experiences and you're using it with something new that you're creating on your own. You know what I mean? And the fact that you just taught us something new, because I always thought that was just like for something cool for them to do with the sound. I had no clue it was an actual technique, like a technique.
Yep, it's and it's something that they've done since the beginning of film, because a lot of people don't realize that your film's audio and your film's video are recorded separately.
Yeah.
And
That's how
on
I do my reviews.
And on top of that, like in a lot of your movie and television, they even do what's called ADR, which is automated dialogue replacement. And it literally requires actors to stand in the studio and literally re-record what they did on set. You can go back, for example, one of my favorite clips of it, Hugh Jackman during the filming of Wolverine. They have footage of that. Okay, so you can imagine. All right, here's Hugh Jackman just standing in a sound studio with a microphone in front of him like this, and he's just like, this is what he's doing, and he's getting intense, and he's acting as if he's on set, but he's not moving anywhere. He's just getting the audio recording correct, so that way they have the best, cleanest take of that audio to put into the movie. So when you watch it, it's all this seamless experience that you're never having this moment of disconnect.
Yeah.
You know? And that's just kind of part of the secret, which again comes from my background of all this entertainment work I've done, that I've had a lot of this experience in film as well to learn some of those secrets.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
And that reminds me of a thing I saw over the weekend. I'm sure you guys see it, like where they show like what it looks like behind the CGI and stuff. And I saw a video of like, it was like The Rock riding a dude in a green suit, and the dude was like a horse, and the guy was on, The Rock was on his back, and he's jumping around. And I know it's not the same exact thing as sound, but how they use the different techniques to get everything, and everything behind the scenes, you don't really see what's actually going on, you know.
Well, the movie Shutter Island, for example, was filmed here in Massachusetts. And there are locations that, all they really did as far as the abandoned location that they used to get that vibe was they brought in some lighting and a whole bunch of green screening. And so they used what they wanted, and then they green screened in everything else they needed.
Yeah.
The trickery is intense. It's pretty impressive.
Well, it shows the talent of the talent to be able to refocus that same vibe from when they were doing it for live, and then being able to do it in the, like what do you call it? Hospital vibe of studios, or that whole situation of being able to turn it on again, because that's talent.
Yeah, sometimes you'll see in modern movies that are set sort of historically in the 20s or the 1800s, whatever. And there's cities nearby, and there's a freeway just half a field over there. But they'll film in that field, and when you see the raw footage, it's just like a bunch of people and some lights in a field, right? When you actually see the same footage when they're done with it, and they've played it in the background, we think CGI is all about Guardians of the Galaxy or Marvel movies and all that stuff. But the amount of CGI work that goes into now doing these historical dramas to build entire buildings that are 3D that you can move around, and you see people walking down this pathway going into the hallway. All that's really there is the doorway. There's nothing behind it.
Yeah.
But once they get in there, they build the entire world around it. It's quite amazing work goes into it. I did want to say the clapper thing you're talking about. Another use for that's really, really common is multi-camera work, where you've got 3 or 4 cameras on set. And of course, sound's being recorded separately. So linking all of those up so that you basically just need to sit here and switch cameras back and forward, because you've got one source of sound that's now locked in place with all of them. It's that big spike. It's exactly what you're saying. It's creating a visual spike.
Mm-hmm. So you folks have had some pretty illustrious vape personalities on the podcast. Who not from the vape world do you want on the podcast?
Oh man, we've had conversations of a few interesting people that definitely aren't from the norm of the guests that we've had on the Green Room, for sure. One person in particular that we've had on he's vape oriented, but the conversation that we had was mainly more CBD oriented when we had one of our sponsors, Anthony Romello, on. But I know we have we were actually brainstorming about this after the last podcast yesterday, of just people that we have interested in bringing onto the show and stuff like that. I know Sean's got some pretty interesting people that he's already got lined up. Our guest next week's actually gonna be a pretty cool one.
Guys,
to have on.
Next week's guest is actually going to be a hip hop artist from here in the Boston, Massachusetts area. He goes by the name DJ Slim, and DJ Slim is also known as America's Most Weeded. He is cannabis rapper that's basically all he does is rap about weed. His attitude is, I don't rob people, I don't shoot guns. All I do is I smoke weed and I take care of my family. So that's what he likes to rap about. He likes to rap about smoking weed. He's a really good dude. I've known him for several years. Back when I was a recording artist, I can't even count how many shows with him. And I mean, I've even to the point I knew his music so well, I would actually be his hype man at shows as well. And Slim's got some really cool stories. He actually just dropped his latest album today, so that's something that we're definitely going to be talking to him about. Was the process of recording that album, and going ahead and exploring some of his favorite cannabis activities. He's also got a really interesting history with sponsorships and endorsement deals with some cool companies. So that'll be some stuff that we'll get to talk about too. But we've also talked about, comedians. I know Uncle Chris has a friend who is a comedian that we definitely want to get on. I have a friend who's a comedian that we want to get on. I've got a friend who does like spiritual help. She's a teacher for spiritual growth and for other spiritual teachers. She teaches Reiki and things like that. That's somebody I want to get on for sure.
Yeah, I know we've also Ashton was talking about, because one thing about the podcast that like we've really enjoyed about is it's kind of opened us up to kind of like be more free with like the type of topics and conversations that we have. And of course, we still throw in a little vape stuff, but it's also pretty shed time or cannabis oriented. So we've actually been talking about getting a few people from that side of the industry on the podcast, kind of learn and talk to them about some of that side of things, because like Sean, myself, and Ashton, we're pretty well versed in the cannabis side of things. But Chris, he partakes, but he's not, he hasn't like quite dove in as head first as like Sean.
Like your
Ashton
average Joe.
So like
user.
it's really cool because we get to have these conversations and ask questions that we kind of know a little bit about. But for like someone like Chris, he gets to sit there and gain all that knowledge, but at the same time ask the questions that the average Joe would ask, that we necessarily might not think about because we already know it already, or something like that. And it's cool because it's cool for me a lot of the times when we have those types of conversations, because I look at Chris, because we're usually in a Zoom room like this, and I could just see him just like listening and just absorbing like what we're saying, you know what I mean? And it's cool to see that, because that's what I imagine our listeners doing. You know what I mean? Is just like listening and being like, oh yeah, I didn't even think about that. You know what I mean? And then like with like Chris being someone that's not quite as knowledgeable, of like, strains and, the different cannabinoids and all that different things, like he might ask some of the questions that those people are sitting there while they're listening, start thinking about. And then who knows, Chris 2 minutes later might ask that same question. And it's just cool. And so like those are guests that I'm excited to have on, because, I'm a very, cannabis has always been a big part of my life for, multiple reasons, for like medical and, recreational uses and all that. But it's just been cool to kind of open up on that side and possibly bring some of those guests on. But like Sean and like Chris were saying, bringing like comedians, or like Sean's friend who, does like the, I can't think of what you just said now, just because brain farted, but like
she's like a spiritual
healer, like that sort of thing. Like that would be really cool, because that's also something that can kind of go hand in hand with the cannabis and vaping side of things. And it's a counterculture thing. That's like what it is. It's like we're bringing people in from all these different communities, and coming together over a few similarities, but also having these conversations about all these different facets of like life, and what people are into, and like what they might be interested in.
That's one thing too I think you guys are doing is awesome, is that it's like weed is kind of whatever you guys want to call it. I'm not being PG on our channel, not that you guys are, but anyways, weed culture, cannabis culture, and stuff like that. I feel like it's a lot kind of like the vape. I know I'm not comparing the two as the same thing, but the thing is,
they
like
run parallel.
People, a lot of different people do it.
So
you know what I mean?
They
like,
need each other. They
Yeah.
need each other more than either one wants to recognize. And honestly, I'm kind of glad that just came up because that's a big part of what inspires us to take the green room and just take it a step further with the Shed Time podcast. Um, myself, I was a cannabis advocate long before I was a vapor advocate, and I saw how Massachusetts successfully did a lot of things and successfully failed and learned from a lot of different things. And I see ways that cannabis and vaping are very similar in their fight to liberate themselves from the politics that bind us. And in that vein, when we think about things like the crossover of these two technologies, the fact that cannabis vaping is very much a thing and there's a desire to vape cannabis. When you think about the fact that there is a misunderstanding of these technologies, and that's why we run into things like counterfeit cartridges, misuse of cartridges, and things like that, we are needed by the cannabis community to teach them what we know about vapor technology. In the same vein, the cannabis community is needed by us, the vaping community, for their understanding of how to circumnavigate the bureaucracy, because they've been fundamentally changing the public perception of cannabis use for the last 50 to 60 years. And that's what we're out to do now.
Yeah.
Change the public perception of vapor technology the way that cannabis has. And we need them in our corner for the same arguments, which is harm reduction, health values, all of these same principles that we're championing. That's what cannabis has done. Cannabis stood up and said, hey, there's a multitude of uses for medical reasons. We should put this out here for people who want to use it medically. And then people started to realize, well, realistically, if you use cannabis, you're getting the medical benefits of it, whether you're using it for a medical purpose or not. All cannabis use is medical cannabis use. And so from there, it starts to shift into this idea of, all right, well, why don't we get recreational? Hey, there's money involved, there's access involved. It starts to defeat the black market. All of these things are things we want to do.
Yeah.
Let's do it. And more, we're at a point now that nationally, roughly 60% of the entire population of the United States of America is pro-legalization.
Yeah.
We've reached the tipping point, people. Why is it that we can't take that same knowledge, that same fervor, and those same approaches and use it?
I do think it's a lot of old ideologies dying out, man. You got to look at people that are leading the countries across the world, even here in the States. You've got people not judging anyone for their age, but I don't think you should be like 70 plus years old running a country that's ever changing under you like that, you know, and you're so untouched by what's going on by public persona. And a lot of it is just like, you know, I can't speak right now, but it's like some of it's based on religious beliefs. Some people believe it, like you're just a terrible person and things like that. And exactly the point you made is like they've been fighting through this for years. They used to make movies in the 50s and 60s, someone smoking pot, because I was trying to look for a video for tonight's show. And I was watching all these old ads, and it was like, this guy smokes some weed. The next thing you know, he's like, oh, now he's hungry. He's eating Doritos or something, but it wasn't Doritos back then, you know? And then he's like, now he's shooting up heroin. Don't smoke pot, you know? It's like they're telling the kids now, you're going to, not that the kid should vape.
Dude, you know what I'm doing after I'm done eating that bag of Doritos? I'm eating another bag of Doritos.
Taking a goddamn nap.
You know what I mean? And then after that, I'm either taking a nap or I'm going to try to find another bag of Doritos. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to look for heroin, bro. I'm looking for more munchies or my bet. It's just like...
Or the
those, like,
guitar.
or I'm looking for more shed time. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, that's the only thing that's going to happen.
Yep.
And I feel like it is a big play into like what
I
vaping
don't
is
want
kind of doing.
Doritos,
They're
damn
saying
it.
it's a gateway to smoking cigarettes, you know, and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But
Exactly. And that's you know, that's one of those things. Like I always envision being able to bridge that gap. But then furthermore, I mean, when I talk about the podcast and I pitch it to different people that I want to have on as a guest, I always tell them that we're a counterculture show that centers in vaping and cannabis, but explores everything. Because one thing that I think anybody who listens to the podcast will grasp about us is that the four of us are very open-minded. We're very understanding. We're pretty non-judgmental until we get into food fights. Then the food fights get pretty judgmental.
Let's not
but-
go there.
Or Crocs.
But at the same time, you know, we are very open to hearing somebody else's argument, even if we didn't agree with it initially. We're open to learning about new things, and we want to explore everything that's counterculture. I want to know what makes racing enthusiasts tick. I learn to identify with them. And I mean, we got to do that a little bit when we had Michelle in on, because she got to gush all about this, you know, this car stuff that she was into. And it got us an opportunity to learn more about a good friend of ours, and let our listeners learn more about somebody that, you know, maybe someone looks up to and had no idea that Michelle was a race car driver as part of her life. You know what I mean? We got to learn about
what?
Yeah.
She plays bass. She makes beautiful, beautiful mods, and she's a fucking race car driver.
Yep.
Honestly, I think it just makes sense.
Yeah, Michelle Lynn's like
I'm-
my spirit animal.
I'm blown away. I knew she was cool, but I didn't know she was that fast and cool.
Right? Like she becomes 25% more badass the second you learn that fact. Like,
Yeah.
She's owned a shit ton of motorcycles as well.
Yeah.
So not only like race cars on tracks, but like drove motorcycles.
yeah, dude. And like these are the things that like are really fun, is we get to get these inside perspectives. I mean, when we had you on, Adam, we dove deep in on your coffee knowledge, and we ate that shit up.
Yeah.
I mean, to the point that, you know, I remember
started thinking
telling
about
you,
how I make my coffee now. You know
For
what I
real.
mean? Like I never used to think about it, but now
Bro,
I'm just
I
like,
started
you know what?
drinking
If
coffee
Breeze
again.
Stones knew what I was doing right now, he would just be shaking his head. You know what I mean? My water, I don't have my water composition right. You know, it's all wrong. I'm not using the right type of grounds. It's just, like it's the whole thing, man. I start just second guessing myself.
yo,
That's what it's all about, though,
straight
right?
gassed after all of that to get a new cure, because now I'm heating at the proper temperature again, and I can actually get a proper cup of coffee. I'm like, oh.
As long as conversation inspires you to want to ask questions about it, that's the whole point of all of this. That's the meaning of life.
That's
you
the
know.
whole point of our podcast, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
I
in a
think that's why you
nutshell.
guys will be really successful with this, is because you guys bring on different aspects of everything, and people will be able to see different sides of, like you said, people they either look up to or people they didn't know things about, and you get to feel both sides of it. A lot of stuff you see nowadays on content creation, whether it's podcasts or YouTube and everything, you see one side of an argument because someone's too afraid to go to the other side or speak how they feel about it against someone else, and be afraid of being embarrassed or learning something, and they think that's some kind of shameful thing, but it's not.
No,
It's the expansion of knowledge.
That's the one thing that I think I've learned over the past few years is just like since I've like been more open just to like hear people out and have conversations and discussions instead of arguments and disagreements, is like you tend to grow more as a person, and you tend to understand people a lot more because you can kind of like see from their perspective. You may not necessarily agree with their perspective, but you can at least see where they're coming from, compared to just like being, you know, shuttered eyes. You know, all you can see is what's in front of you, and whatever this guy's saying is complete bullshit because it's not what, you know, is right here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've learned so much about so many different things that I've never been interested in before. You know, just because like blinders, you know what I mean? But like I've learned about so many different things and learned about so many different people that, you know, I learned so many different things about different people that I never knew, because I never thought to sit there and ask or have the conversation or sit there and have that sort of discussion. And you kind of, you get to like know people more, you know what I mean? And I feel like this day and age, people don't have those conversations, or, you know what I mean? Like that's lost, you know what I mean? Just sitting down and having a conversation about whatever, and just it being a conversation. You know, everything's got to be an argument, or I'm right, you're wrong,
Or a
you know what I
debate.
mean? There's
Yeah.
no like, well, let's hear you out.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
there's none of that anymore.
Because I don't know if like this is a bad reference or not, but I'm, you know, we're all guys here. I'm sure we've all been through the experience of growing up as boys and fighting each other and growing school and stuff like that. After you got in a fight with someone you disagreed with, what did you do? You hung out afterwards. You probably
Yeah,
good
Your
friend.
buddies, you're cool. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And a lot of people are afraid to go through the anguish of either learning something new, being embarrassed, or feeling
or
dumb
being
and then-
wrong.
and being wrong nowadays, if anyone sees it in like normal culture, is like the most cancelable thing you can be nowadays.
Or
You
not
know what I mean?
necessarily even being wrong, or being afraid of being swayed a different way. You know what I mean? Just because of what someone says, instead of, you know, when, like with me, there's sometimes where I may think this way about something, but after having a conversation with a few people about it and getting maybe a little bit more information and kind of different perspectives, my perspective might change. You know what I mean?
That's what I was
I'm
gonna
not
say.
always set exactly where I'm going unless I find something to show me otherwise or to make me believe otherwise. And the only way I could find that is by having those conversations and listening to somebody that may not have that same opinion that I do. You know what I mean? And that's how I think
the biggest thing.
I think that's how you grow, you know, as a person. Sorry.
I think the biggest thing that we miss so often when we have conversations is learning to actually listen to what the other person is saying. We're so busy sitting there waiting for that gap, which I was just doing. My apologies. Waiting to say our feeling.
Yeah, nice work.
Just waiting for a spot so I can spit out my thoughts rather than
everybody's
stopping
so quick.
and letting it come in.
Yeah, everybody's so
Being
quick.
a listener is hard. Like
Yeah.
it really is. It is hard. It took me a long time in my life until I got to the point where I felt like I was a good listener. Like there was a long time in my life that I would just say something to say something.
A lot of people don't
Just
realize
to
you
have
go
a
on
conversation. But
Yeah.
now it's like, I do feel that I learn a lot more about people. I was always like a fairly good judge of character, and if I knew you for a little bit of time, like I'd have like a pretty good read on what kind of person you were, and if I wanted to spend more time with you or not. But I feel like in my late 20s, at that point, is when I started to change the way that I was. I was like, oh, you know what? Like, I'm going to not be so hard-lined on this and have that conversation instead of an argument.
Totally.
Pretty crazy. Every Sunday for me, it's like I leave the shed, you know, a little bit more open-minded and a little bit more humble. You know, that's like
Agreed.
really like my main goal in life is just trying to be better than I am yesterday. You know, and it's like if you have that outlook on your shoulders, you know, like I'm not out just for myself, but I'm out for, like, that's one thing that vaping and this, you know, this industry has taught me in itself is, you know, like if you don't share your knowledge and spread your knowledge, then we're all not learning and we're all not advancing and we're all not, you know, going with the times. So that's where I leave it.
I think there was one thing on what's his name? It was a story that I'd heard a long time ago about patents and people wanting to withhold all of the knowledge of what their company had created. And was it who's Tesla? What's that guy's name? Elon Musk. Yeah, thank you. And Elon Musk changed. I might be wrong in this, and this is a third-hand story, but I'm pretty sure that they stopped doing patents and shared their learning with everyone and anyone someone said, "Why are you doing that?" And he's like, "Well, how are we going to progress if we don't all learn? If I just withhold all these secrets, you know, the progressions are so slow because it's up to us to work it out." But when they shared all the knowledge with everything, like their rival companies, everybody just took those steps up because they were sharing the knowledge. And you know, I thought that was a great story. Yeah.
Knowledge only grows when it's challenged, because if you think you know everything, you already lost.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Speaking of knowing everything, I'm gonna let's change tact a little bit. We have a little game to play because obviously our
games. I love games.
Yeah, well, I've got 10 questions on the weed, the Mary Jane, the hooch, the grass, the buds.
All right, Sean, Ashton,
the stickiest
Chris.
of the icky. I have 10
Go.
power questions. I guess the way this game will run.
We got to buzz in.
Yeah, just say your name or something. You know, let's do it that way. This is for everyone.
Cheese Muns.
Yeah.
Please don't.
I fully endorse that and accept that as a buzzer name. Let's just play this game. I've got 10 questions, and your time starts now. How many grams in an ounce?
Crazy.
Was that Sean? Was that Sean?
I mean, my hand went up.
Yep. Okay.
Oh, I didn't know how hand had to go
We'll
up.
put hands up too, just so it's a visual.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Yep.
28 grams in an ounce.
That is correct.
I would have got that right.
That's a full ounce for all of you guys that don't
Yeah,
know.
and unless you get a lid, in which case, that could be an additional 7 grams, and then hey.
Oh,
And then
indeed.
if your dealer likes you get 0.6.
All right. And next question. How many countries worldwide is THC fully legal?
Oh, see.
Easy.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know
0.
this one.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Oh,
It is Uruguay and Canada. It was the most
yeah,
recent
Canada
one.
is for sure.
Yeah,
That's federal.
fully legal.
I thought that it was like 10, so I would have been wrong
Yeah.
as well.
Mind you, disclaimer, I got these off a couple of websites, so I'm trusting the information from these websites, so please don't.
Hey, just because I smoke weed doesn't mean I know a lot.
Next question. True or false? Whoop, hang on. Just fucking...
Adam actually got all these questions from the DARE program that teaches kids not to smoke weed.
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah. True or
I love
false?
fucking dare program.
In certain cities, do dispensaries outnumber both Starbucks and McDonald's combined?
Cheese moms.
Oh, Ashton Palmer.
Fuck yeah, they do.
Yep, that is true. In Denver, there is
Yeah.
115 Starbucks and McDonald's combined, and there is almost 400 dispensaries in Denver
Dude.
alone.
Dude,
I
you
went out
drive
there-
down Trent and Spokane, Washington, and there's like literally 15 just on that road. They're
Interesting.
just like piled on
Sounds
top
like
of each
LA,
other.
dude.
Are you guys keeping score of? You're all got to keep your own score.
I think
okay?
Sean's got one, Ashton's got one,
Yep.
and I think that's it.
All right. Next question. How many cannabinoids have been identified in the marijuana?
Oh, see.
And bonus points here for the number of chemical compounds as a whole, and then the cannabinoids.
You know what?
Yeah, right.
Frames. I'm gonna throw a guess out there. I'm gonna say 12.
Okay. There is 500 total,
Holy shit.
and there is 65 of those are cannabinoids. That was a tough one. Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah.
Which is
When you get into
yeah.
when you get into cannabinoids and you get into like terpene profiles and stuff, like it's a fucking crazy web. It's
Yeah.
like as crazy as DNA.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's
because
like-
there's like about 16 major cannabinoids, 12 or 16 depending on who's
See,
listed.
that's
go
why
by.
I said 12.
Yeah. And then there's terpenes, which are all also different phytochemicals that have a whole litany of other uses. And yeah, it can be quite a lot.
Dude, I need to do some shed time study, I guess.
I can add to that. When I was looking at
Good
that particular fact, I also learnt that the differences between fresh and stale, and when when the MJ gets stale, it turns into another thing. So the compound changes again. Hence why you have the really bright, sparkly high, or you get the really slow, groggy situation. It's because the cannabinoids have changed, oxidized, and
degraded.
done. Yeah, crazy. Anyway.
Oh, wow.
Next question. How many Oreos did I eat in 2008 after smoking 2 baseball bats?
cheese moms.
Ashton.
69.
Is that your final answer?
That is my final answer.
I ate 16. Yeah, that was...
Damn it.
That was...
Oh, wow, that's not even a full bag.
I was gonna say I'm eating that whole pack,
Man.
bro. I'm eating out one row, pouring milk into that center little boat, and then dipping them into the. John T taught me this.
Bro,
Nice.
I'm pouring them all into a bowl and then just pouring
You
milk
can
into
literally
it
eat it
with a
out the
spoon.
pack, and then when you're done, you throw it away, and then there's no fucking mess.
That's
You
fantastic.
don't have a dish to wash.
Genius.
Fantastic.
You got no dishes to wash.
Also, you can throw a couple into ice cream and milk into a
I just thought
blender.
about this though. What you do is you just take a couple of them out, or you like leave spaces, and then you just leave them standing up in there, and then you pour the milk in, and then
They're pre-dunked.
Pre-dunked, bro. You
Damn.
just literally go down and eat them out of the lineup.
This is fucking life
Three
hacks
down.
here. Life
Fucking
hacks.
blowing your guys' minds right now.
You know what, though? I'd be
Sit this
worried
shit down.
that if you had, like, Chips Ahoy, though, and you went to go pick it up,
Oh,
would
it would just
be the
mush,
soggy
bro. It
part
would-
right
yeah.
down in there.
That's what spoons are for, yo. That's what
Oreos,
spoons are
no. But Chips Ahoy's?
for. All right, next question. You have to fill in the blank.
Okay.
To overdose on cannabis, one needs to smoke about...
Frames.
Cheese moms.
Hang on.
God damn it.
Hang on. Let me finish the sentence. To overdose on cannabis, one needs to smoke about blank pounds in less than 15 minutes?
Cheese Mounds.
Oh shit!
Oh,
Your
shit.
body
Now,
weight.
now you beat me because
Your entire body weight.
Yeah,
Metric
sorry.
shit ton.
A metric shit ton is actually the answer. It is a shit ton of weed because, as far as this article concerned, there was 0 deaths from overdosing.
yeah,
on the
you'd
weed.
have to practically smoke your entire body weight in a however long period you're pretty much saying in order to overdose.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Have you seen all these influencers that are like taking nose gram dabs? They're like
Oh
fucking
my god.
slab dabs. They're just like,
I've taken way too big of a dab before, and all it made me want to do, it made me kind of freak out for a second. But all I did after that was just go to sleep.
yeah, I like.
And I
sweat my
woke up the
brains out,
next day.
shit my pants.
I woke up the next day, probably the most rested I had ever been, but I was still high.
Mm-hmm.
I smoked my first dab, was like this big, like an idiot, and then after like 10 minutes, I called my girlfriend. I was like, "Come pick me up!" Like,
Yeah,
you
dude,
call
I
your-
wanted to give away the bag of weed I just bought after taking my first dab because I was like, no, I'm done with this
Never
shit.
did.
All right.
But I think we've talked about this on the Shed Time podcast. You
Yep.
guys can go check it out. It's a funny story.
Next
What
question.
you got next, Adam?
How many years has cannabis been used by humans?
Ooh.
Forever.
Charles.
I don't have that many fingers.
Frames,
Frames, Shanklin.
centuries.
Yes, indeed.
Centuries.
It's around 12,000 years. At first, there's a bit of conflicting information about this, but it's believed at first it was the Iranians where they began. They started using it when the technology for grinding wheat and barley was around 10,000 BC. The next actual documented situation apparently was the Chinese, I believe, which is the first medical use of that, which is around 200 BC. Sorry,
They used to have a hot
2000.
room spa kind of things, and they'd smoke everyone out with the
Yeah.
big old gong looking stuff and the coals and all that.
Yeah, it was an emperor.
But wait, Jesus was 420 blazing it.
Yeah, bro.
There is actually also another
What do
thing I
you
read.
think the Blessed Sacrament was?
Yeah.
What do you think
Yeah,
that burning
dude.
bush was? That
Exactly.
fucking-
You've
wonder
got to be
why
high
I'm
to see
so
a talking
talented
burning
when I
bush,
get
bro.
Oh, that's right.
That's crazy.
Okay, we have a couple more questions. True or false?
Okay.
In the US, more teens smoke the MJ in states where it is legal than states where it is illegal.
You want to do a group one? You want to do a group one on that one?
Sure.
You want to do a group true or false on that one? See what
I'm
everyone...
gonna say that's false.
Yeah, I said it's
I'm
false
gonna
as
say
well.
false.
Yeah, I'd say false as fuck.
Indeed, it is false AF. That is absolutely false.
False, absolutely 100%
Yep.
false.
Because I mean, I'm still in a legal state, and I was smoking tough when I was a kid.
The stickiest of the icky. So, second last question. Which country is believed to be the world's biggest producing nation?
Yeah.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, Chris Vandal.
Afghanistan? I
Incorrect.
got it wrong.
Incorrect.
There was a lot when I was there.
It is
Africa.
no.
No,
South America somewhere, I'm guessing. Jamaica.
California, dude.
No, and no. It is actually Paraguay.
Paraguay.
Yeah.
The fuck is Paraguay?
I don't even know where the fuck that is. So.
Let's go. Pack our bags. Let's go.
Yeah,
We're going to
I'm about
Paraguay.
it. Strain Hunters.
New
2020.
land
Let's
strains,
go,
bro.
boys.
Let's go find those fucking master land strains, bro.
On it.
Every time I hear the name Paraguay, I think of a parrot. Anyways.
Yeah. And last question: true or false? After Tupac Shakur's death, members of his group mixed Tupac's ashes with weed and smoked the concoction. True or false?
False.
True.
That was Frames.
It's true.
That is very
I'll
true.
say, yeah, I
Yep.
can believe that.
Very true.
That's false. That's 100% false because Tupac's not dead.
Exactly what Sean said.
very well played.
Nobody puts out that many albums posthumously. He's not dead.
Yeah, I've seen the Dave Chappelle skit.
I've seen the Dave Chappelle skit.
You guys didn't see him at fucking Coachella that one year?
That's
Oh,
right.
That was a hologram.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was just backstage.
Yeah, dude. Did you not?
He
hear
did
the
really
mixtape
look
he
at
dropped
Scoop in
last
the
week?
eyes, too. It was kind of creepy.
He was in a VR dancing, dude, and they just projected it.
For real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, they are finally proving that Hitler escaped to Argentina after World War II, so it's entirely plausible that Tupac could have disappeared.
Yep.
Faux show.
Faux shizzy. Yep.
Same
Well,
with
Steel
Johnny
Valley
Cash.
Vaping said false Tupac is in Cuba. So.
See, Steel Valley knows what's up.
Yep.
I seen it.
There's
seen
a
it.
song on YouTube proving it.
Yeah.
But we are coming down to almost 8 o'clock, so it's been an hour and a half. I did
Yeah.
have one question I wanted to ask everyone before we left, and it was related to, obviously it's 420, but I want to get into it, and then let's close it out for these guys. But we'll start with Sean, and we'll go around. What was the craziest thing you've ever made when you were shed timed out?
Oh shit,
Oh, dude, there's some good ones, bro.
bro.
I know
right.
Sean's got some goodies.
So
I hope he says the one I'm.
Even I can answer this question. Can I answer this too?
Oh
So
yeah,
here's the
everyone,
thing.
everyone. Yeah.
So here's the thing, right? Back in the day, me and my homies had a shed.
Yeah, you did.
And in said shed, we would fucking jam a ton of people in there, and we would get baked all the time. You know, it was like my mom just gave me this shed. Was like, hey, you can smoke with your friends out there. So we made a lot of things in said shed into bongs. There was a 40-foot stuffed snake that was in the rafters, for example. That was made into a bong. There was a traffic cone that I made into a 3-person hookah. And that actually had a fish pump so that it was actually like pumping the smoke into your lungs. I still have it, but we have a actual physical, like he's got a real bong in him, but he's called Baloo My Bud Smoking Buddy, and it's Baloo from the Jungle Book. He's a stuffed animal, and he's got a bong in him. So this just leads you up to all the crazy things that we've done, okay? Craziest thing, we made the couch in that shed into a bong.
Yeah, they did.
Well, at the time I worked for a machine shop that made like medical devices and stuff.
Yeah.
And so we had this particular fitting for one of the devices that they made, and it looked almost like the head of a piston, and it had these little borings in it that were perfect. I was able to fit some surgical tubing in there, create a screen, and I had a bowl. So that was our bowl, and it ran into a big chamber that was tucked inside the actual body of the whole fucking couch. And then out the other side came a 6-foot tube so that we could pass it around the entire room of the shed and everybody could smoke from the couch. And there was a little pen that was basically jabbed into the inlet hole, so that way we had a carb. So if you were sitting on that particular
You have to
seat,
do the carb.
you would hold the carb, light the bowl like this, and then when it was fucking starting to milk up at the person who was hitting it, you could let the carb go. That way we wouldn't have stale smoke in the chamber.
Crazy.
So yeah, that was probably the craziest one.
That's some ingenuity, man.
Yeah.
That's intense, bro.
All right, pass it on to whoever you want next, man.
I want to hear from Ashton, because I know that Ashton's got some wild fucking stories, and I just know there's got to be something crazy.
Hurricane season ain't over yet.
Oh, this is better than hurricane. Oh, fuck. So, long time ago, back when I lived on the coast over in Washington, I was living with my stepdad at the time. And long story short, me and my buddies got, super baked one day. And then my buddy was like, dude, we got to make like a 5-perk bong. So we went to Albertsons and bought like 5 fucking like smart water bottles, chopped them all up, stacked them all, and then like we would just like cut the bottoms off of like 2 or 3 of them and then just sit them over one and then have like fucking straws coming out of it. So it'd perk again and perk again. So we made this thing, tried smoking out of it. It fucking sucked. But we were all smoking in this broken down van that my stepdad still had on the side of the house. And I ended up moving back to Idaho. A week later, he calls me ripping my fucking head off because he found this backpack with this fucking smart water, hot glued fucking crack pipe looking mess with a bunch of Four Locos shoved in a backpack. Yeah, that's my story. I'm going to throw it off to Uncle Chris.
I love how you describe that. It's like super ghetto. Honestly,
That's right up your alley. I don't know what you're talking
dude,
about.
yeah, but that's the thing. Because I'm still so basic with it, I kind of been rolling with the same setup since I was a teenager. Not like the same, but like the same method. So like it was always really easy to find like a water bottle or a pop bottle. You know, you'd have your buddies and you'd be like, "Yo, I got the weed. You got to go get a fresh bottle." And then you just go get a bottle, stick like your little aluminum shaft in it. I do remember one time, it was quite a while ago. I was probably like 19, 20 years old. And my best friend was like all pumped. He like picked me up and he's like, "Oh dude, I made this new bong." He's like, "I can't wait for you to see it." And so he made a bong and it was honestly out of like almost like a pixie stick. You know, like a pixie stick?
Mm-hmm.
Really
It was
skinny,
like
all-
that. It was like a plastic tube that looked like a pixie stick, and he put like this little tiny like shaft and bowl on it. And he's like, "Yeah, dude, like I'm gonna hit this one first because like I fucking made it. It's gonna be awesome." And I was like, "Oh yeah, sure, Mike. Yeah, it looks great." And dude, he fucking hit it, and the minute that he hit it, it started to melt. The heat from the smoke and the bowl, it just like started to melt, and he just had to like throw it out the fucking window. So that was like more of a just a ghetto disaster, as opposed to, like something cool. But yeah, so luckily I didn't have to use that because it melted before it even got the chance. So I'll pass it off to Adam. Breeze Tones, tell us because you got something.
I got something. Not long out of high school, I was partaking, and my buddy that I used to do that with, it was the fashion in those days. Everyone was discovering the bucket, the bucket bong. And
God.
we'd been sitting there and I was like thinking away and I was like, we can make a better one. We can make a better one than this that doesn't require water in a bucket and all of that mess, So I came up with the idea of making, those 3-liter Coke bottles? The biggest ones we could get in Australia were 3-liter bottles, and they were like just big round balloons as opposed to the Coke bottle shape. So we cut the bottom off one and so we had 2, cut the bottom off one, turned one upside down, and made a giant syringe. And I called it the injector. But the problem was we made it too good because, think of a syringe. Here's actually one of my e-liquid syringes. So this is basically a small version of what we had. You'd light the bowl and you'd draw the smoke back into it, and then you'd like line it up in someone's mouth and just shoot it. And it was like insta sweat and insta whacked. So you'd take one of these things and like it'd hit you once you like injected it in, and that was it. You'd just sit down and yeah.
We would make iron lungs when I was growing up that were like that. Only you would cut the bottom off like the 2-liter bottle, and you'd use like a bread bag or something, and you'd tape that to the end, and you'd push the bread bag all the way in, put the bowl on the mouthpiece, and pull the bread bag out like the syringe does to create the vacuum.
Yeah.
Take your bowl off, and then cannon that shit. So
Yep. That was my story. Yeah. Mr. Legion, I know you got some stories in the closet, bro.
I have some stories. Unfortunately, my stories are not so much 420 as they're more chemical, and I'm not going to get into that today. When it comes to 420, I am as basic as can be. I have no creativity on that substance. I'm literally a melted egg on the couch. I'm one of those guys. I'm that guy that you invite over and you smoke him up, and like 20 minutes later you find him curled up in the closet sleeping. like literally that's who I am. I don't paint, I don't write, I don't talk a mile a minute. I just find a corner and I'm relaxed now.
that's because you've been smoking the wrong grass, brother.
Yeah, dude.
I smoked it all and done.
Dude, it's 10 minutes of 11 p.m. here right now, and I'm wired because I smoked the right grass.
Yeah, dude.
I'm gonna smoke the next strain after the show gets out, and I'm gonna be
out like
that fried egg.
That's why I'm gonna go hard on the indicas right after this.
Yep.
Awesome. Did we do every?
Did we cover everyone there?
Vandal didn't tell us one from his.
Oh, and frames. Yeah.
Frames. Sorry, man. I missed you.
Well, I got one that's kind of similar to some of the ones that have been said, but me and my buddies one day, hard shed time session, and at that time we smoked a lot of blunts at the time, so like that was just the thing. He's like, man, you know what? We need something different, man. We need to smoke something different today, but we didn't want to just hit the bong or anything like that. So we started looking around my buddy's garage, and we find a Sparklets bottle. And we're like, okay, all right. And look around, and then we find a 55-gallon trash can, gravity bong. So we literally cut the bottom of this Sparklets bottle off, right? Filled up this trash can about 3/4 of the way full of water. Put this thing on there, and we made this bowl and loaded it with weed. It had hash, it had wax, it had keef on it, and just literally filled this 5-gallon Sparklets bottle up. And it took 5 of us to clear this thing, and by the time you even got a half a hit in, it was already all milky yellow and just brutal. And oh my god, dude, I never coughed so hard. I think 3 of us ended up throwing up. But dude, we were
That
high.
sounds like a
as
fun
fuck,
time.
dude. We were
Dude, that sounds like
high.
one of those things that it's so awesome because it was huge, but it also was so terrible because it was so huge.
bad. It was so
I know what we're
It was
doing
awesome when we were
Idaho.
watching it fill up for the first time. We're
Yeah.
like, oh my god, we're gonna get so baked. And then we did it, and we're like, oh my god, this was a terrible idea.
Well, that's like the monster spoon I have. Some of the guys have seen it. I'm a glass addict. I collect a ton of glassware, and I literally have a glass spoon that's from my elbow to my hand. It's
Dude.
yeah, it's out of control, and it's the same story. If you
Huge.
milk that thing, it's
Yeah.
you can't finish hitting it. It's horrible.
Mr.
All right,
Vandal.
well, yeah, I'll go with my story. It's kind of like what Frame said. Someone trying to do a gravity bong, right? And I was living out in a small town outside of Vegas called Prump at the time. It was right around in the high school area. Anyways, there's a lot of trailers and white trash stuff, woohoo, Kid Rock. And so I had a friend that lived in an RV that was her grandma's or something. So we go over there all the time, and smoke. And so, we get high. We have the bright idea to cut the Sparklets bottle top off to fit in the RV tub, which is very shallow as it is. And then take a hookah pipe and put it on top, and then use the hookah bowl and then try to light it. And then we just couldn't get enough, because there wasn't enough pressure. It's too shallow. So we had the genius idea to light it with a torch and then blow the fan that's attached to the roof on it at the same time. And when we did that, it caught on fire and then blew all over the RV and caught all the blinds on fire. And so I ended up having to pay $600 for this lady's blinds. But long story short, that's the dumbest thing I've ever built.
Dude, you built a fucking
pretty terrible.
flamethrower, dude, is what you built.
Yeah, so that was a bad idea on my part. But yeah, that's my story. So
Yeah, that's awesome.
I kind
Nice.
of like that story.
Yeah.
I
feel
feel
like that
bad
was the
for you
best
and the
one.
lady, but
Well, gentlemen, we want to send our biggest thank you for coming on the show with us. It's always an honor and a pleasure, and thank you very much. Happy 420 for what's left of it.
I'm about to go get my shed time on hardcore right now.
Yeah, me too.
Next time you see me, you won't be seeing my eyes.
Well, I mean, on top of that, it's also my wedding anniversary right now.
Oh, happy
Ah.
anniversary to the
oh yeah,
Typhon!
dude, happy anniversary. That's right.
We've been married for 4 years now.
Congratulations,
I
man.
started dating her on April 20th. I married her on April 20th. So not only do I have a really cool anniversary date, but pro tip, fellas, I can't forget this one.
It's true.
You know what, Sean? Touche, brother. Touche.
We want to thank everyone for hanging out with us. Always fun on Mondays or Tuesdays /Tuesdays in Australia. Thanks, everyone. Have an amazing night /